Hello, welcome to the ACS Technical Center in New Berlin, Wisconsin. I'm Troy Bedell, and today I'm going to be talking about the VTC Plus Convey System. When you initially get your convey system, it will look like this. Today we're going to go through how to set up your convey system for the initial running. Along the right-hand side of the screen, the top button is to enter your passwords. The control does not ship with any passwords programmed. The second button is start stop. Third button is for your alarm conditions. The fourth button takes you to your settings. From this screen, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the advanced settings page. Once you're on advanced settings, you'll see system setup, and this is where you'll configure your system. So right now we have it set for one station and one pump. So you'll select how many stations you have. We'll just make it 10 for a nice even number. And your number of pumps, we'll make it 2. And then if you have any optional outputs like a station blowback or a remote proportioning valve, knife gate, local alarm, you can select those as well. Implosion blowback as a feature that most of our systems don't use. We usually use standard blowback, so you don't need to select this. And once you have all those settings where you want them, you'll hit Use New Setup. And then after you use New Setup, you can click here for System Auto Assign. This will set all your inputs and outputs on the PLC to match the print for the stations and pumps you've selected. Once that is complete, you can return to the home screen and you'll see all your stations on the screen. If you go down here, you'll be able to see your pumps. So if we go back to home, we can set up our stations and pumps. So if you touch and hold the station, it'll bring up your settings that your operators will typically use, like convey time and dump delay. If you touch station setup, it'll bring up all the configuration for the station. So you can select which pump the station is assigned to. If you want no convey alarms, what this will do is if the machine conveys a certain number of times and doesn't see material, it'll give you an alarm. You can turn that on. You can set the attempts before the alarm, so if you want it to be, if it doesn't convey one time, it gives you an alarm, or if it doesn't convey 5 times, it gives you an alarm. That's user selectable. You also have volume fill on or off, and then manifold sharing if you have it. And down here you'll see the screen shows you which I/O is assigned to which feature on the station. So on this control, all your I/O is manually selectable. So if you have a problem with an input or an output, you can change it without having to go online with the PLC, or any of that. We would probably, if we want to change it to A13, you just select whatever ones are blue. That'll allow you to change your input. It also shows you here on the screen where the I/O is on the PLC. Typically, you don't have to change any of that. That's only if you have a problem with an input or an output. So the next thing on this page is main S1. That's your main station 1. If you click here, you can select whether you can rename your station, so you can call it whatever you want. If you want to call it Mold 1 for your first molding machine, or however you want to do it. And then we'll just hit enter. And then you'll notice when you exit out of the screen, it'll change the station name. The next thing we're going to cover is pump setup. So we'll touch here, touch and hold the pump, and it'll show you your hour meter for how many hours are on your pump. So after 8,000 hours on our typical pumps, you want to change the oil. And then you also have pump setup here. Once you go into pump setup, there's only a couple things. Auto shutdown delay. So after your system is all full, it's going to wait 30 seconds before it turns the pump off. And then if it doesn't see a demand in that 30 seconds, it'll shut off. Once it sees a demand, it'll start back up. The other thing we have here is conveys needed for filter cleaning. So you can adjust that depending on the amount of dust in your material. And then it also has your inputs and outputs down here that'll allow you to, if you have an output go bad for your pump starter, you can change it without having to, replace the output card or order a new card if you have extra output. So if you look here, with how we have this set up now with this VTC Plus 3, if you had an output go bad, all the ones in blue are still available. So you wouldn't have to replace any components. You can just move the output. All right, next I'm going to talk about optional outputs for your stations. So to do this, to select these, we'll touch the button with the 3 lines, go to Advanced Settings. Once we get to Advanced Settings, we're going to go to System Setup, and then you'll select what option you want to use. So today we're just going to select RPV valve. We'll select 1 here, hit Enter, click Use New Setup. For the optional outputs, you don't need to use the system auto assign. The outputs are not auto assigned for any of the optional features. So to select your output, you'll hit Home, go to whatever station you have your RPV valve connected to, touch and hold, go to Station Setup, and you'll see along the bottom of the screen it says RPV output not selected. So we'll go ahead and touch here. Select whatever output's available that you want to wire your RPV valve to. Close here, and you'll see now it's selected to B0. Once that's complete, close here, and you'll also see that your RPV option is shown up on the screen. You can set how much of a percentage of material B you want, and you can set the number of cycles for the conveying. And all of the optional outputs work similarly. So if you were going to add a slide gate below the hopper, you'd do the same thing. Just select the number of them, select the output and the station you're going to use it on. Now I'm going to talk about the option of expanding your VacTrac convey system using our DIO panels. So the same thing, just touch here, and then go to Advanced Settings, and then you'll see Remote DIO Setup. So if you ever want to expand your system and you run out of I/O in the main panel, you can purchase a separate PLC panel, and it will communicate via Ethernet to the main panel, and all the controls will be done from the central screen. So you would just select how many DIO panels you have. You can have up to 10, and once you do that, you tell it which one it is, and then it'll automatically find the panel once it's plugged in. Okay, next I wanted to discuss the ability to view the inputs and outputs and wiring from the screen. So if you touch the button with the 3 lines and you go to Advanced Settings, you can see your input and output wiring on the screen. I'll give it just a second. So it'll show you what station's wired to which input and output. If we go back to Advanced, it'll show you the PLC hardware that you have. And it'll show you, like, if you have the DIO panel, you can left and right to the next panel to see which I/O you have in that one. Next, I want to show you the service info screen. So if you ever call in for service support, you want to go to your service info screen. It'll show you our phone number. It'll show you the software version numbers for the PLC in the screen. Also on this screen, it has the serial number. When you get the control, if the serial number for some reason got overlooked at the factory, to enter it, you just touch here. You'll look at the serial number on your panel and enter it. And close. And that way you won't get the serial number not set alarm. The next thing I want to show you is how to set your passwords. So you hit the button with the 3 lines and go to the Advanced Settings. Once you're in Advanced Settings, you'll see passwords. Like I said before, the control, when you receive it from the factory, does not have any passwords set. You can set an operator level password and a supervisor password. So the operator level, you just touch here. We'll make it 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll change the service supervisor to 5678, and then we'll log out. And if you go to home, you can see to do anything, you're going to need to log in. You can still touch and hold the stations, see all your settings, but to turn the system on and off, you'll at least need the operator password. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, enter. Then you'll be allowed to turn stations on and off, touch and hold. If you want to go to station setup, you'll still be able to see it, but you won't be able to make changes. So to change anything past this screen or start and stop, you'll need to enter your supervisor password. So that was 5678, enter. And now you see if you touch and hold, you go to station setup and all your settings are available. If you forget your password, you can call the service number and we can give you a temporary password. So, and if you have any further questions after watching this video, you can reach out to the service department. If you go to your service info screen, the number for the service department is right there.